Hello, can everybody hear me? All right. So let's see what this volume is. The volume is set at 8. Is that good for everybody? In the way back, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? All right. So we are going to start this Game of Life's Journey, Part 2. Welcome. I have a feeling there's a lot more people that didn't go through all of the tours, so therefore they didn't show up today. We still have a healthy crowd. We just set up a lot of seats, so it just looks like there's a lot more people who are missing. But welcome. I'm so glad you are here. I've gotten some really great feedback about this program. And with a show of hands, has everybody gotten something out of this program? Awesome. That's what I love to see. So we have a unusual way that we're going to do this, as you already know from walking down the hallway and coming in through the back door. We want to thank right off the bat Joella Hardy with Accordius Health at Aberdeen for the lovely breakfast display. Thank you. And we want to thank Magnolia Gardens for all the beverage station here, so thank you very much. And so what we're going to do, as I already said, we're calling an audible, and I'm going to speak first, and then we're going to have Veteran Services still, and then we'll still have plenty of time for Jennifer Garner talking about the Medicaid Spend Down process, because that is very confusing and is detailed. And then after that, that's when we'll take those little nets down, and we'll start the table vendor fair. And while you guys are chatting and talking around all of the tables with the vendors, Alvita and I will be scurrying through the suitcase full of passports and make sure that whoever has double entries, triple entries, and beyond will make sure that they're all in there before we draw the names. And then we will also do door prizes. A lot of the vendors brought door prizes today, so that'd be fabulous. So anyway, before I begin, I wanted to, I asked my boss if she could print out some stats for me here on seniors in Moore County. And let's see, so she's got little notes here saying that Moore County was one of the first counties to have more people 60 plus than 18 under 18 and under in 2018. 80 counties can say that. So by 2038, 95 of those counties will be, good gosh, which makes sense that by 2040, it says the 85 plus age group will be the fastest growing. So that is a wonderful thing that you guys have done with this Game of Life's Journey, because the onslaught is coming. They always talk about that silver tsunami. And so it's great that at least now you've looked at different places, you've toured, you understand the different options, and then you've got a plan. Hopefully you've got a little plan in place. A plan A, a plan B. I love when we have little plans, because life throws you surprises, as many of you know. And so it's really nice to have some kind of a plan in the back of your head, or in the back of your head when something like that should happen. The one other statistic that she pointed out that she thought was very interesting was grandparents. So grandparents 30 and older, 644 people in this county alone. So that means they are actually responsible for their own grandchildren under 18, not coming over for a sleepover. They're there. And grandparents 60 plus are responsible for their own grandchildren, 235 in Moore County. That's a lot of responsibility. So with that, I'm going to segue into the Department of Aging. So a lot of people are confused by us because, are you the Department of Aging? Are you the Senior Center? What are you? Well, we all work at the Senior Enrichment Center, and all of us staff work for the county through the Department of Aging. So a lot of times we all have different services that we provide on top of running the building. So that's where it could be kind of confusing. So we have Alvita Person. Alvita, would you mind just waving to everybody so everyone sees who you are? Alvita Person is our family caregiver advisor, and she's a very special and unique position, because where we have nutrition and transportation and we have specific services, family caregiver covers a wide swath of information. People can come in and they have odd questions but she can be the person to help you. So she helps people with information and assistance, information and referrals. She helps people with Ensure, if there's anybody who is on a prescription from a doctor for liquid nutrition through Ensure. We can sell it by the case cheaper than any place in town, even the big box stores. And that's a grant that we have to do that. So we sell chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. And we sell not only the regular, but the one with the protein boost. And then one Glucerna for people who are diabetics. So what you would do is you'd fill out forms with Alvita. You order it one day of the week, and then you pick up another day of the week. She's got a set system. Right now, she's also helping people with Depends. We do have a grant that will be running out, so it's whatever left that we have in there. We've been helping with that because that is a very expensive item to have. And she helps with respite care. Respite care is totally important for somebody who is dealing with a loved one with a cognitive issue. Whether it is your spouse, whether it is an aunt that is living with you, you can talk with Alvita, and she has a grant that she gets in July called a respite care program. And what that is we go and work with, team up, collaborate, partner with licensed and bonded home care agencies. And we usually pick 2 and sometimes 3, and then we award the person 30 hours of free respite care. So what that happens is we give you the choices of the partners that we have, and say Maureen, you're going to go away to Raleigh for the day, and you want someone to be with your lovely husband. You call up that agency. I need from 9 to 4 at my house while I'm going to Raleigh for the day. They will bring a caregiver into your home, and and that will be a great thing. It's a wonderful program. 30 hours goes real quick because most agencies ask for a 3-hour or a 4-hour minimum. So they go real quick. But the object isn't to give you respite care forever, because grants don't do that, unfortunately. But at least if there's a little bit of respite that you get, and then if you do like the caregiver and you do like the agency, then that opens the door for you to then maybe say, can we purchase some more time on other days that we might need? Because caregivers, unfortunately, sometimes, I would say a 70% or more of the time, a caregiver winds up leaving this earth quicker than the person that they are caring for, which is sad. And the reason is because the caregiver is giving all of their time and energy to their care recipient, which is a wonderful thing, better for worse. I understand things like that happen. You love a person, you want to do it, but you also need to take care of yourself. And that's why Alvita has a family caregiver support group meeting once a month. She has a tip of the week on our Facebook page every Friday. She's got tons of information. She's got a box of Kleenex in her office if you need just to go in there and cry. But she is just a wonderful, warm person who will listen to anybody. Sometimes people don't even know that we have services. And so by the time they find out, they're at that wit's end. And that's why I was saying sometimes they do go in there and they just break down because they're at their wit's end. So we don't want that to happen. We want people to be educated and learn about the things that are available to them. So that is family caregiver. Transportation services. We have medical transportation services in those little teeny vans that you see around that say MCTS for Moore County Transportation Services. And what those vans can do is they can come and pick you up, bring you to your doctors, drop you off, come back and pick you up and bring you home. They can do that anywhere in Moore County, Lee County, Fayetteville, all the way up to UNC Chapel Hill, which is wonderful. And they have chair lifts, all of them do. So if someone has a walker or a wheelchair, they can just get in with the wheel lift. If you have a caregiver that needs to go with you, they will accept the caregiver to go with you. And it's a wonderful thing, especially now with gas prices the way they are. So we definitely, if you are able to drive yourself, that's one thing. But if there are vision impaired people in the audience, if there's somebody who's got a little bit of dementia, it's harder to drive. That's what the service is for. And so with the transportation services, Rhonda Priest is the woman over that department. And then we have nutrition. She's also over our nutrition program. Nutrition, we've got two kinds. Everyone's heard of Meals on Wheels. Everyone thinks Meals on Wheels covers everything, and they don't. Meals on Wheels covers from Southern Pines and Pinehurst all the way south in Moore County. And our home delivered meal program covers Whispering Pines and Taylortown all the way north. We currently have 9 meal routes in the north part. We rely heavily on volunteers to go to those 9 meal sites, pick up the meals, get their list for the day of who they're going to deliver to, and they get to see these people. Sometimes it's the only eyes that lay on somebody in a home. We partner with Mid-South Catering down there in Aberdeen, and they provide the meals already prepared, and they put them in those meal sites every morning. And in Robbins, we actually have 2 meal routes, because Robbins is a very wonderful community, and a lot of these people, there's a lot of people in need out there. So we also have a congregate meal. So here at the Senior Center, we call Diners Club. That's how we refer to people. So the Diners Club, they come here, they get the same meal that Mid-South prepares for the people who are going to get the home delivered meal. And they eat it here. They usually eat it around 10:30 in the morning. 10 o'clock, they have their little program. So 10 o'clock is Monday's Bible study. Tuesday is chair exercise. Wednesday and Thursday is bingo. For $1.25, they can go home with a gift because the Dollar Tree went up to $1.25 now. And then on Fridays, it's a free day. They could do whatever they want. Go take a walk down the track down there, sit in the Diners Club room, watch TV, whatever they want to do. They can work out in the gym even. And so I tell everybody it's kind of like hot lunch at school. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's mystery meat. But you know what? You're all sitting, you're talking with people, you're socializing, you're having some food. It's a nice time for people. So that is our nutrition part. Then we also have in-home aid. In-home aid always has a wait list. Right now it's 105. So in-home aid is we have a registered nurse on site, and we have a supervisor, and then we have CNAs. We have about, in a perfect world, 10 CNAs, certified nursing assistants. And they can go into someone's home for 2.5 to 3 hours a week, and they can do light housekeeping. They can do your laundry. They can go to the laundromat, run errands for you, take your blood pressure, even do a bed bath. If a bed bath is needed for a person who's bed bound, then they will have 2 visits that week. They can't drive you anywhere. They can only go on errands for you. And like I said, it's a very popular program. Once somebody gets somebody, it helps them live independently, and they keep that person for a long time. So the wait list, like I said, is over 105 now, and it always grows. We also help people with our SHIP program, Seniors Health Insurance Information Program. And we have a gentleman in the audience, Dan Woodall, who is our SHIP counselor, who is wonderful. He comes in on his own time. He's retired and loves to help people, and he's wonderful at it. And so he comes and he meets with people 65 and older, and educates them on Medicare, helps them with a Medicare issue that they might have. We always have people wait until they're 64 and a half to say, I need to know about Medicare, because now I'm looking at Joe Namath every 2 seconds on the television, and he's confusing me, and I'm getting 50,000 things in the mail, and I don't know what's real and what is fake. And so we can help people discern what's real, what's fake, and we can kind of help them out along the way. One of my favorite things about doing that is making sure that somebody who's like, say they're in their 80s, and they never quite knew what their cards were that were in their wallet, they would always just show up to the doctors and peel them out and hope for the best that those people knew what to do. But I like to make sure that they understand what each card represents, so that, I mean, to me, that's peace of mind every night. When I'm going down, laying my head on the pillow, I could totally understand what I have, what I need. God forbid something should happen, how much it might cost. That kind of rests my mind. So we have that service, which is fabulous. And then we have our fitness program. And our fitness program is for $2. You come and you pay for the day, and you get to work out in our gym, but you also get to take any of the exercise classes for that day. Now, yoga is $6. So you would pay us $2 to come and $4 to the actual instructor, because we don't have a yoga instructor. That's how she gets paid. Other than that, it's $2. You could work out and then take those classes for the day. And Maureen here actually she teaches a free class which is just stretching and like guided meditation. She's wonderful. And that's all listed on our fitness calendar. And in the back on our table, we have newsletters, and we also have activity calendars. So we have a lot of different activities here. Everything is free, with the exception of a greeting card workshop, which is $10, but you leave with 3 beautiful little cards. If there are classes that are coming up, like our beginner genealogy, and the teacher wanted to charge people $40 for the 4-week series, I reach out to the community, all the people in the back, and I ask for sponsors. And so with the help of Jennifer Garner and with Bowles Funeral Homes, they have paid for that. So it's a free beginner genealogy class that's beginning in April. And it's going to be a 10-class limit or a 10-person limit. So if you want to sign up at the front desk. And I will get off now, but I do want to say just one more thing. So for working out, if you know somebody who can't afford that $2 a day, we do have a scholarship program available. And we do have evidence-based programs here, 3 fitness programs, actually soon to be 4. A bingo size is coming up next. All the evidence-based programs are free, and they are evidence-based because they help people build their core strength and their balance so that it can prevent falls. The number one reason a person doesn't live in their home anymore or live independently anymore is because of a fall. That's the number one reason. So whatever you can do, because as we get older, our balance gets a little wonky, you want to make sure you have it. So we have Matter of Balance, we have Arthritis Foundation Walk with Ease program, we also have the Tai Chi for fall prevention, and now this new bingo size. And one more thing before I turn it over to Kelly Green with veterans is for lower income people. If you know anybody who is lower income and they're having a hard time paying for their drugs, we have 2 Medicare savings programs. One of them helps people get a free drug plan, which means they don't have to pay for their drug portion of their Advantage plan, or they don't have to pay for a drug plan. It's free to them. And then what happens is their drug costs automatically go down. So you wouldn't pay more than $3.85, I believe the number is now, for a generic, and you won't pay more than $8.85 for a brand name drug. Those are fabulous. And then what we do is we send them over to DSS in the back, and we tell them, go get 3 months of your bank statements proving your income level. And then what they can do on their end is they can possibly, if they fall in the ranking, they could possibly get approved for their Medicare Part B to be paid for. Now, Medicare Part B is $148.50 back in the day if you have already been on Medicare, but if you're just new to Medicare, it's now $170 a month. That's a lot of money. So what they can do is if you get approved, you get 3 months of that money back retroactively to help you, and then going forward, you don't have to pay for that, which is wonderful. It's a great service. And so now I am going to introduce, if anybody has any questions, because I know I go a mile a minute, we'll be at our table during the table vendor fair, and I'm going to introduce Kelly Green with Veteran Services. She's a wonderful addition to Veteran Services, and I thank you so much for coming today, Kelly. And if you do it too close up, then it kind of gets distorted, but if you kind of hold it a little bit, then people can hear you. We'll go from there.
Okay. There you go. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? My name, as Lynn said, is Kelly Green. I am with the Veteran Service Office here in Moore County. We are county employees. We do not work for the VA, but we help you navigate through the VA system. Is that better? A couple of things we were going to talk about today to let you know of some services that we offer is so veterans are eligible for health care through the VA medical facility. There's a couple of stipulations on how to be qualified for that, which we'll be happy to go over with you on individual basis, because the VA is very specific to each individual case. Other things are disability compensation, to where if you are in the service and you were injured or exposed to Agent Orange, exposed to burn pits, there's certain disabilities that you may be eligible for to be paid by the VA every month. One of our big programs that everyone always asks about is aid in attendance. Aid in attendance is a way that the VA could help pay for assisted living. With that, there's certain income guidelines. So there's two different programs. If you're receiving the disability compensation, you can get aid in attendance added on to that if one of your service-connected disabilities require you to need help with daily activities. The other one is an income-based. It's called pension. There's 3 different levels to that. There's the basic pension level, the housebound pension level, excuse me, and also the aid in attendance level. There's a program for veterans and a program for surviving spouses of a veteran. So these programs are not overnight. They do take about 8 months to get approved with the VA. So, it's something you want to plan ahead for. The income guidelines for the pension program is your net worth. So all the income you have coming in every month, and also your assets cannot be over $138,000. If it is, they will look at you spending it down, or you can't transfer anything. There is a look back period for that. Excuse me. So to be eligible as a veteran for the pension program, you do have to have an honorable discharge. You also have to have served at least 1 day during a wartime period. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go overseas, but you at least had to be in the service during a wartime period. And then, like I said, they do look at your annual income. For the spouse, basically the same criteria. Basically the same criteria with that, with being, a honorable discharge and serving the 1 day during the wartime period. The things we count as income are your Social Security, any pension payments, any retirement, any savings, interest, things like that are counted. Some of the forms that you definitely want to make sure you have available are your discharge documents, marriage license, all those important papers that you want to find before, and have those where your spouse knows where they're at as well. We do have a table set up in the back. So if you have specific questions, please come by and see us. We'll be happy to answer those. Okay? Yes, sir. We are inside the agricultural building in Carthage. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, there's a lot of other benefits that veterans are entitled to. It's hard to kind of tell you exactly what you may, be entitled to without going specifically into each case. So definitely, if you've ever served, please give us a call. Yes, ma'am. Yes. The home is not, no. Your home and a vehicle is excluded. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, and it changes every year with the cost of living. So, yep. Mhm. Anyone else have any questions? Okay. Lynn?
Okay, so now I'm going to introduce Jennifer Garner with Garner Law Firm. She is wonderful sponsor for us all the time, but has such a wealth of information. And in May, we're going to be doing like a Talk to the Expert series online. So that will be fabulous. We'll do like 4 weeks of different topics with Jennifer. So stay tuned for the newsletter for more information on that. So here you go, Jennifer. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm not an expert at microphones. So am I good? Okay. All right, so we're going to walk through a case study today because Medicaid can be very confusing. Medicaid can change at all different times because it's a federal, state, and local program. They are going to hand out to you all what I'm working from here as far as the case study is concerned. I wanted to sort of bring together everything that you guys have done in part one, all of your visits in between, and then your part two, which we're wrapping up today. So we're going to talk about Mickey and Minnie Mouse. Figured they were familiar to all of you. And if they're not, I don't know where you've been hiding or where you've been deployed to, but trying to bring it together. And you always have to add some humor to these otherwise depressing topics about aging, right? So Mickey and Minnie lived and worked in Florida for most of their lives. They loved to golf. They decided to avoid the rat race of the big city and moved to Pinehurst, North Carolina to retire. After the move and settling into their golf front condo, Mickey trips on his tail. He falls, he breaks a hip. Although Mickey was beginning to show signs of aging and becoming forgetful at times, he had no specific diagnosis of a form of dementia. Mickey does have some existing heart issues, which come from the stress of being Walt Disney's child. After surgery to repair his hip, Mickey wakes up. He's very confused and he's agitated. He may have had a reaction to his anesthesia. He may have had a stroke during surgery, or it may be the stress of surgery and the new surrounding taking its toll. Minnie's very concerned about her capability to handle the healthcare and financial needs of Mickey. What does Minnie need to do? So if you remember in part one, we talked a lot about powers of attorney, healthcare powers of attorney, living wills, medical directives, medical HIPAA release forms, competency, guardianship hearings, as well as wills and trusts. Remember, they came to North Carolina from Florida, and those would have been out-of-state documents they had if they had done their estate planning while working in Florida. So they would need to update documents, and Minnie would need to understand what powers she may or may not have over Mickey. After a week in the hospital, Mickey is able to understand and execute the legal documents necessary for Minnie to be able to handle all of the financial and health care needs if he is unable. Mickey's been notified that he's ready to be discharged from the hospital. If you've been there lately, you know they kick you out pretty quickly, so you have to be prepared for that discharge planner to pop in. The doctor orders suggests skilled therapy. Minnie is concerned about the costs and the proper care for Mickey. So what should Minnie do? Well, Minnie should do some of the things that you guys have already gotten a jump start on, which is visiting nursing facilities, advocating for Mickey and his care, becoming familiar with the rights of patients in facilities. She should meet with the facility bookkeeper to determine the medical insurance coverage that Mickey may have, if any, and investigate the details of any long-term care insurance that Mickey may have. Mickey transfers to Happy Putting Nursing Home, and he participates in the first week of therapy. During the care conference, a therapist mentions a concern about Mickey's mental status, and the doctor orders more tests. Mickey's discharged from therapy because he isn't progressing. He's showing a marketable decline. He's unable to walk. What should Minnie do? Well, Minnie should probably consider hospice and palliative care consults, in-home therapy, facility care. She could use a combination of different levels of care, and then she needs to think about how am I going to cover those costs. So she may have some benefits left under Medicare. For example, if Mickey went home to be cared for and had hospice or palliative care supporting Minnie, then maybe he could get some Medicare therapy at home. Medicaid, which we're going to talk about here in a little more detail, and then special assistance, which is a Medicaid waiver program that helps you cover assisted living level of care. And we can get into that a little bit if we have time and we need to. And then veterans benefits, which you just heard about. Sometimes if you're living in assisted care or if you have home care coming in, you can take all of those medical type expenses, visit local vet service office, which is awesome here in Moore County. Can't say enough things about them. They work very hard for you. And it's all paid for in your tax money and prepaid with all the service that you gave to our country. So might as well go sign up and get your benefits if you qualify. Mickey and Minnie worked hard all of their lives. They have no children, and they have not accumulated a large amount of assets, as they were always very generous with the neighborhood children at Disney World. So let's talk about Mickey and Minnie's assets. They have a joint checking account, which has $30,000 in it. Minnie has some life insurance she purchased for $5,000. Mickey has life insurance at $5,000. Mickey still has his old VA policy for $2,000 when he was in the service. Then they have life insurance through Disney, who was their employer, and that has a value of $50,000. They were able to save some bonds in their investment account, which they hold together at $170,000. They have their condo here in Pinehurst at $150,000. It is jointly held between the two of them, and they do have a $75,000 mortgage. They have their home in Disney, but Walt never lets anybody own the home exclusively down in Disney, so he still retains a 1/2 interest. So they own the other half. That's worth $250,000. They own an interest in a small Disney cruise ship at $100,000. And of course, Mickey had to have that's $50,000. They have their household furnishings, their miscellaneous personal, and of course, Minnie's collection of large bows. So Minnie needs to make sure she takes care of herself, as well as, taking care of her own doctor's appointments, her health, her personal and her spiritual needs. As Lynn mentioned earlier, we see about 50% of caregivers die before the person they're caring for. And it's a very sad statistic, but caregivers tend to neglect themselves and their own health while caring for others.
Trade this out because it's kind of going in and out.
Yeah. Green light. Working? Okay. Should join some. A lot of the areas starting back up now.
Sounds like it. Hello?
It may be me. Okay, now you can hear me again? Okay. If I get too loud, just raise your hand. So the Medicaid application that Minnie will be filing to cover Mickey's care is for the Medicaid long-term care program, which covers individuals living in a skilled nursing facility. So after all of the analysis that Minnie has done, she has determined that it is safest and best for both of them for him to stay in the skilled nursing center. Medicaid is a federal, state, and locally administered program. Basically, the federal government creates the skeleton of the program and tosses money into a bucket for the Medicaid program. Then the 50 states are invited to take part in that program. If they choose to take part in the Medicaid program, they take their share of the funds and they create their own state Medicaid program. As long as they don't violate the basic federal rules, they create their own rules. So it's very important for Minnie to commit to staying in North Carolina when she decides to do this Medicaid application and this spend down, because should she choose to move to Georgia to live near Huey, Dewey, and Louie, who were kind of like children to her, then she's going to have to follow Georgia rules, and they may or may not be the same. It is a state-administered program for the purposes of adding all of the little rules. Like in California, they call it Medi-Cal. They don't even call it Medicaid. And then it's administered by the local Department of Social Services. So they can't make the rules. They can't create law. In some other counties, they think they can, but Moore County DSS is pretty darn good. And so they administer the program. So when you're ready to apply and actually turn your application in, you can work with a caseworker at Moore County Department of Social Services. And we are so lucky to have them here today, actually in a table in the back. So the first thing we have to determine, we're going to kind of talk through a three-pronged test for whether Mickey's going to qualify or not. The first part of that's going to be, is it medically necessary? Does Mickey even need to stay in a skilled nursing center, or is Minnie spending a lot of extra time with Goofy and just wants to leave Mickey at the nursing center? So the doctor has to complete what we call an FL2 form. That FL2 form gets completed by the doctor listing his various conditions, what he needs help with, those activities of daily living. Does he need help with transport, bathing, toileting, feeding? What does he need? And then at the end of that FL2 form, there's this magical decision made by the doctor as to whether he needs assisted living level of care or whether he needs skilled nursing. You always talk to the doctor first to make sure that you're telling them how you want the FL2 to turn out at the end, and hopefully that's what you get. Once he passes that test, so he's unable to walk right now, he's very confused, has some dementia issues, heart conditions not getting any better, so feel pretty comfortable that he can pass that medically necessary test. Then they look at his income. So when you're Walt's child and you spend your life at Disney, most things are prepaid and covered, so you don't have the opportunity to either earn a lot of separate income because of what's covered. So he has Social Security of $1,275 a month. That's his gross income. And then he has a small pension from Walt Disney of $350 a month. So he does not have sufficient income to pay for that nursing home. So that's basically your income test for the nursing home level of Medicaid coverage. Do I have enough income to pay that bill on my own, or am I below the income needed to pay for that care? All right, so he passes the income test. His $1,500 is not going to pay for him to stay in a skilled nursing facility. Now we have to look at his resources. And we like to break resources into two groups. We have countable and then we have non-countable. So you remember the resource list from page 2. And We're going to break it into countable and non-countable. So remember, they have that joint checking account of $30,000. Well, that's money that's available to them and is available to spend for medical care, as are the stocks and bonds and the cruise ship. Okay, so they have $300,000 in countable assets. Non-countable assets are the life insurance policies that they own and have control over that are not term policies. So they have a cash value to them and a face value to them. They are allowed to have face value of insurance in the amount of $10,000. So those policies were below 10. Remember, they each had a 5, and then there was the VA policy for 2. The Disney life insurance is not in any way, shape, or form owned by them. It's owned by Disney. Disney only gives you the right to name a beneficiary. You can't cash that policy out or do anything else with the policy other than name a beneficiary. And Disney could get rid of it tomorrow as part of their retiree plan. So that doesn't count against them because they can't access it. Minnie's convertible is non-countable because the Medicaid program wants you to have one vehicle to be able to visit with your spouse or get out and go to medical appointments, see your family. A lot of people are mistaken that once you move into a skilled nursing center, you're like never allowed back out, and that's not true. It's very healthy and very nice for people to be taken out of the facility on occasion, whether that be for holidays or just to drive around town to the new farmer's market with fresh strawberries out, or down to Ben's ice cream, or somewhere just to have an outing. So they like for the family to have a vehicle to do that in. The condo in North Carolina is owned jointly by them, and it's considered to be their residence. So that is also an exempt asset. We would also file with that Medicaid application Mickey's intent to return home. So anybody I've ever met in a facility never agrees that that's home. They always want to leave with you and go home. We don't know where home really is, especially with a lot of dementia folks. They're back to their childhood home looking for that, but very easy to have someone even with dementia, but normally we use their agent under a power of attorney to sign an intent to return home. If the patient has an intent to return home, or if they have the spouse living in the residence, it's not considered to be a countable asset. The home in Disney is also not countable. It is not countable because it's considered to be tenants in common property. It is not owned wholly by Mickey and Minnie. So the government program cannot force the sale or the spend down or use of that property. Golf cart, household furnishings, miscellaneous personal property, not countable. You can have your basic everyday artwork and household furnishings. If your grandfather left you an original Van Gogh and that's hanging in the wall in your living room, that may be a collectible and a piece of art that is not considered to be your average household furnishing. Minnie's bow collection. So Minnie's bow collection is very, very dear to her and very important. And there are, of course, a lot of young female fans that just adore her bow collection, but it doesn't really have any additional value. So really, that's just kind of part of her personal property. So what can we keep for Minnie? The government program has something called the Community Spouse Resource Allowance, which allows the spouse who's still living in the community, so that's Minnie, to retain a share of the assets. For 2022, the minimum amount that a spouse can keep is $27,480. So in another scenario, if we had just a joint checking account for Daisy and Donald Duck, and they only had $25,000, and that was their only countable asset, Daisy would get to keep the entire $25,000 joint account because the minimum is $27,480. So they want every community spouse to have at least $27,480 if possible. The maximum amount is 137.4, and that's a number you've probably recognized, very close to the VA asset limit for the VA aid and attendance program. So let's make that work for Mickey and Minnie. If we take 1/2 of the countable assets, remember our countable assets were $300,000. If we take half of that, we have $150,000. So that is our community spouse resource allowance for Minnie. She's able to set $150,000 aside and retain for herself. And then she also has all of the non-countable assets that we mentioned. What can Mickey keep? Mickey's only allowed to keep $2,000 in order to qualify for the program. I tell my clients to keep less than $2,000, or you'll drive yourself crazy at the end of every month, making sure that that institutionalized spouse has less than $2,000, because he can never go over his $2,000 limit, or he's immediately disqualified for Medicaid. So what might Mickey need? We've got a total spend down of $148,000. So we saved $150,000 over here for Minnie with all of the other non-countable assets. And we gave Mickey $2,000. So we have $148,000 too much to be qualified. So we look around at Mickey's room, we look around Mickey's facility, and we decide what might Mickey need for the rest of his life there in skilled nursing. Maybe he needs clothing, different supplies for his room. Maybe he likes to paint. Maybe he's a photographer and we want to get him a new camera, get him some canvas, some paints. Maybe we want to donate to the activity director there so that she can do some really exciting painting activities with them that will get Mickey interested. Some facilities provide you with a TV in your room, some don't. Does he like computer activities, games, videos? Do we want to get him an iPad or an iPhone so he can FaceTime with everybody back at Disney? Does he need a specialized wheelchair? You know, Medicare will pay for the basics. So if you need a wheelchair, Medicare is going to give you a kind of wheelchair 101. But sometimes that's not real comfortable depending on the stroke or the inability to walk or how many hours a day you spend in that wheelchair. Maybe you want something with a taller back or something with a headrest or the sides. So there's a lot of things that you could use that $148,000 for other than paying the skilled nursing center on a monthly basis. Maybe some extra snacks, or room decor. Room decor can be very important for someone. So do we want to make it look like home? Do we want to go and get the Disney sheets and comforter and hang some better curtains? Maybe there's no comfortable chair in the room and Minnie wants to come and visit a lot. Maybe a nice recliner would be good. So we spend about $2,000 getting Mickey set up for what he needs. So how do we use everything else? We want to try to help Minnie out as much as we can. So I always suggest to my clients they prepay any of their funeral or cremation plans. They can do that for both Mickey and Minnie. Make sure that they do a thorough plan. We don't want to leave any expenses for Minnie if Mickey dies first, or vice versa. So make sure they sit down with the pre-planner at the funeral home and they go through everything that they want. Do we want to leave something for the minister that's going to speak at the service? Do we want a graveside service? Do we want to be in a church? Do we need to, have flowers or no flowers, etc.? So make sure you walk through all of it. So they spend $10,000 planning for both. Burial plots, you can own burial plots. Those are non-countable assets, and you can own them for your immediate family. So if you wanted to go to the church and purchase one for Mickey and Minnie, and then, Uncle Donald and Aunt Daisy, and they were actually related, then you'd be able to buy those plots together without anything counting. For Disney employees, there is a special cemetery in Florida. I just made that up, but so we didn't have any burial plot expenses. We want to pay the mortgage off because that's really hard on Minnie. She's losing Mickey's income to the nursing home. She doesn't have him around to do his part of the housework anymore, so she's going to have additional expenses. So we apply part of the $148,000 to pay off the mortgage on the condo. The home in Disney really needs a new roof. Don't know if any of you guys have been to see Mickey and Minnie's homes. I kind of sad to report they did tear them down and build a new section there, but we'll pretend they didn't. Gorgeous tile roofs on both of their homes down there, and it's time for a new roof. So need to send $10,000 down to the roofing company. Remember, they only own half of it, so the total cost of the roof was $20,000, but Walt has to pay the other half. There's a condo assessment coming up, and there's some current dues that are due on the condo. So we go ahead and make sure that those bills that are current are paid. Maybe homeowners insurance and car insurance is also coming up due. Maybe they had been choosing to have it drafted monthly, but the bill is really due once the policy is issued. So we make sure it's paid for the year. We want to pay Happy Putty Nursing Home for a little while. This is just something that's personal to me and my experience with my clients. It is much easier to find a nursing home and much easier to move your loved one if you're unhappy with the nursing home, if you have some funds to be able to move that person and privately pay for a while. Plus, we want to have time to spend this money down properly for Minnie. So we decide we're going to make 2 monthly payments as part of our spend down while we get everything spent and together for social services. Minnie's having a tough time with that convertible all by herself because Mickey used to remove the hard top for her on the nice days. And she has a knee that's been giving her trouble, so she's having a hard time getting in and out of that. Wants to get herself a small SUV, so we decide to trade in the convertible and get Minnie a new vehicle. She can only have one that's non-countable, but we get that done and we pay that off. So we have spent $148,000. We've done so legitimately. We've kept all of our receipts and all of our canceled checks, and we put all of that together for social services with the application and hope that we get an approval. There is something called a state recovery. A state recovery is federally mandated. And what that means is that if we leave any assets in Mickey's estate, the federal government requires North Carolina to file a claim in that estate. So let's say that we left the condo in Mickey and Minnie's joint name, which we wouldn't want to do, but if we did, and Minnie wrecks the new SUV and dies in the crash. So she dies first. Mickey now owns the condo. It doesn't disqualify him for benefits because he still has that intent to return home. He doesn't have any money to pay for the condo, but that's another discussion. So then Mickey dies. Well, that condo is going to be in Mickey's estate because it was still in his name and he's the surviving spouse. So North Carolina will put together this giant bill, and we always ask for a copy of it if they actually file a claim, just because it makes them work and show us what they actually think they did for Mickey. But we also find a lot of mistakes on it too. And they file a claim with the clerk of court's office against the estate. So if they spent $60,000 on Mickey while he was in the nursing facility on Medicaid, they have to be paid back the $60,000 before Mickey's heirs or beneficiaries of his estate would receive anything. So even after you get the application approved with social services, you always want to do the next step to say, well, I've protected these assets, but what are these assets doing for me? So we want to talk to Minnie again and say, okay, Minnie, if you die first, because remember, you've been a caregiver, you've been stressed out, you've neglected your own appointments. Maybe she didn't go to those care plan meetings like I suggested that she go to in the various support groups. If you die first, what are we going to do? She needs to look at things like her life insurance beneficiaries and the joint asset registration. Hopefully she has a very well planned and well-drafted financial power of attorney for Mickey where she's authorized to make gifts and move his assets and take his name off of the things that she's been able to save. So I did that a lot faster than I thought I would. I'm sorry. We can, let me take questions, and then if you don't have questions, I'll run through a quick scenario for you if he was looking to stay in an assisted living facility. And we can work through that. Does anybody have any Medicaid questions? So my legal recommendation would be that the assets that were protected from Minnie, like the house, that Mickey's name would have been taken off of that condo so that it would have been in Minnie's name alone. Then when Minnie died first, Minnie should have had an updated will that didn't just leave everything back to Mickey, because we would have done all that work to qualify him for Medicaid for no reason. So she could have disinherited him, or she could draft a trust under her will, a testamentary trust, to provide supplemental care for Mickey when she was gone. And the same would be true like for the car or, any other assets that were jointly registered. You have to take his name off of the monetary accounts. Otherwise, he has more than $2,000 available to him. So you have to be able to get names off of joint accounts. Yes, sir. So the question is, if I gave my house to my children and I just lived there, what would happen then? So if I gave my house away, I am unable to gift an asset within 5 years of a Medicaid application without incurring a penalty. So you need to understand that if you're going to start gifting any assets, you need to do so at least 5 years before you need to apply for any kind of Medicaid coverage. That's called the 5-year look back. If I went into the nursing home and applied for Medicaid and I gave my children my house 6 years ago, it's of no consequence. It's not my residence. I don't own it. And it already belongs to the kids. It was more than 5 years ago, so there's no existing penalty for my having given it away. If I only gave it away 2 years ago, and now I need Medicaid assistance, I'm going to have to figure out another way to pay for my care for the time that I'll be penalized. So my Easter basket story works pretty well here, and we're close to Easter, right? I have Easter candy back there for all of you. Please visit my table so I don't take it back to my office. Every time I make a gift, I have to put an egg in my basket for every $6,800 I've gifted. At the end of 5 years, I can empty my basket because my gifts and all of my eggs would be gone, and I'd start over my penalty period, basically. So for every $6,800 that I gave away, let's say I had a little rental house that was worth $68,000 and I gave it to my children. That would be a 10-month penalty. So if I applied for Medicaid before my 5 years had run, I would then have to figure out how to cover my cost of care for 10 months because now I'm in the nursing home. I need the help. I have no money left. I have no assets left, and I have a 10-month penalty. $10-month penalty for transferring $68,000 without being paid for it. So if you bought my house for $68,000, I would have the 68 and I could just pay for my own care. If I gave you my house worth $68,000, for every $6,800 that I gave away, I have a 1-month penalty. So I have a 10-month penalty for that house transfer. So if you just add someone to the title to your home, it depends on how you add them. So if you add them as a 1% owner, you have gifted 1% of the value of your home, and that would be a gift. You could sell them 1% of your home, and they have to legitimately pay you and do a settlement statement just like you were selling me 1% of your home. No different whether it's a stranger or family. That money has to exchange hands to be a sale. But if you gift 1%, 2%, 50% of your home, that is a gift of that value. Can't sell or lease your home for $1. People used to do that back in the day before I think it was the OBRA 93 Act that changed all of that. Any other Medicaid questions? So I'm going to take just a couple minutes and then maybe we'll just start the vendor fair early. I'm going to explain to you what would happen if Mickey and Minnie made the decision that he assisted living level of care. So there's the Medicaid waiver program called Special Assistance that they could have tried to qualify for, but it would have been very difficult given their assets. So let's say that Mickey, his dementia was getting worse, but he was mobile. He still had good days and bad days. And he needed medication management, might need some help getting ready in the morning, needed his 3 meals a day to be provided, and he would really benefit from a great activities director. So we decide that Mickey's going to go into assisted living level of care rather than skilled nursing care. If he didn't have his pension from Disney, so Disney declares bankruptcy, they raid the pension fund and it's gone. So all he has was his Social Security of $12.75, and he needs to be in the memory care unit in the assisted living facility. We could do a Medicaid application for Mickey for the Special Assistance Program. It would be medically necessary on his FL2. His income for a special care memory care unit would be below the income cap. The hard part about special assistance is the income cap. The income cap is just a non-negotiable item. So the income cap for the memory care unit is over $1,500. I think it's $1,549 or $1,561, but don't hold me to that. He gets $12.75, so he's below that income cap. So then we can move to the resource test for him. In the resource test, he still can only have $2,000 available to him. So we either have a spend down issue, or in special assistance, you can actually make gifts to your spouse and they only count the assets that are left in Mickey's name. So we can preserve more for Minnie by doing that gifting. Again, do we have a good financial power of attorney, and do we have a well-drafted gifting clause in that financial power of attorney? Because we can't just run around town taking his name off of all of the assets. That's a criminal offense. So he could then be covered for that care. It's not easy to find a facility that accepts special assistance Medicaid because they pay so little to the facility for the care that they have to provide. The majority of assisted living facilities are private pay only. Any questions? Yes, we need a maintenance man. We just had a table collapse. So, Lynn, I didn't follow your instructions. I didn't take all the time, and they don't seem to have any additional questions. So they might be anxious to have their door prizes or their name pulled. Thank you.
So much. Thank you, Jennifer. And we were able to live stream this, the presentations on our YouTube channel. In our newsletter is the link to our YouTube channel, which we will be doing more and more presentations live streaming. The nice thing about that is it's live, but then the next thing, it actually records. So if there's something that you missed or you're like, wait a minute, what did Jennifer say? You can go back and rewatch and listen to what she said, or what Kelly or I said as well. but you know, you've heard me before, I'm sure. So anyway, without further ado, so now we'll begin the table vendor fair. We'll take down those crazy nets and help yourself to more food if you'd like. The bathrooms are out the front door and to the left. And at noon is when we'll announce the winners and give out all the door prizes. So thank you very much. Hi, everybody. Can I have everybody's attention? Hello. I say hi, you say hello, hello. All right, everybody. Hey, thank you. That comes in handy. I don't do that. I go, woo, woo. I just wanted to say, since it seems like everyone's kind of visited all the tables and spoke to the table vendors, I figured you guys wanted to get out on the road, take advantage of a nice day, and we can start to give away the prizes. So first off, has everybody gotten a coupon for a door prize? Lovely. Okay. One thing I want to make sure that I didn't mention earlier about, someone had asked about the prices of the services that we offer through the Moore County Department of Aging. I just want to make sure that everybody realizes there is no charge for the programs, the services that we provide, like the transportation and the Diners Club and all of that. But what we do ask, because they are government-funded grants, they ask that we ask somebody what their monthly income is, and then we look up a chart and say, well, someone in your income bracket might donate $10 a month to put back in the program so that we can help more people. So I just wanted to let you guys know what that is. It's not, most people, it's a myth. Most people think it's just lower income that gets these services, and that's not true. One other clarification, if someone is living in, say, Southern Pines Living or Southern Pines Gracious Living, that is an apartment complex that has their own transportation bus, and they provide food. So somebody who lives there would not be eligible for our programs for transportation or food because they already have it at their location. So that's a clarification as well. The other thing I wanted to bring up, in our newsletter that we have in the back, I wanted to tell you that in April, we celebrate our volunteers and we list them all. And then I also wanted to say a couple of things. We have a program coming up on Friday, April 8th from 1 to 3 on dementia. So from 1 to 2, we're going to have a woman by the name of Lisa Levine from the Dementia Alliance in Raleigh come down, and she's going to do a talk on navigating the dementia diagnosis. And then we're going to have Christine Abbott in the back through Sandhills Adaptive Living. She is also going to talk from 2 to 3 on creating a dementia-friendly home. And she gave that topic in the fall, and I learned a few things. It's a wonderful program. Then we have, what's up? Yes, if you don't mind, when we, like our activity calendars that are in the back, everything that is like, say, Mahjong or Canasta, an activity that happens every day or every week, those you just show up at that time. But anything that's listed on our calendar that's in bold and underlined, we ask that you call the front desk to sign up, because if we are scheduled in one room and there's more people, we then will want to move it to another room. Or if we're going to have refreshments provided, we want to have a head count. So thank you. That's a good question. That is Friday, April 8th. Then in April on the 7th, and for the 4 Thursdays in April, we are doing beginner genealogy, as I mentioned earlier. And the bingo size is going to start on April 5th. It's going to be twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, all the way through June 14th. It's a 10-week evidence-based program. And with bingo size, you learn, you have fun, but you learn about nutrition, mobility, exercise, and balance. And we also, for people who have Parkinson's, we actually have a fitness program here that is geared for somebody with Parkinson's. And Chris has gotten certified, and he teaches a class. And the people that have been taking it say they really have benefited from it. So I know there's like a boxing class that happens as well. This isn't it. It's a totally different program. So it's something that you might be interested in. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to have Alvita, and I already went through all the passports when between Jennifer Garner speaking and when you had the table vendor fair. So we already have our winner and our second runner-up, and then we have a bunch of door prizes to give away. So was that all I was going to talk about? Okay, good. All right. So the winner of the $300, do you have the person's name? All right. If the person is not here, we are going to get another winner because you have to be in it to win it. Gary Rains. Is Gary here? Really? All right. Okay. All right. Well, that's sad. Sad for them. Good for you. So now Alvita's going back. All right. This is our winner. So this one goes here. I'm sure $300 could, put a lot of money, like gas in your tank these days, huh? Yeah, really, one fill up. Okie dokie. Yes. Because how we did it is whoever went to 2 places got their passport put in. If everybody went to 2 places and then 3 places or 4 places, then we have their name in it to be pulled 3 or 4 times, however that is. So the winner here, hopefully this person is here, is Arlene Ratovsky. All right! Yay! You were one of the first people here. Here you go. And don't leave, please, without me coming over because I need to get your name and then the number on the back of the card. Okay. And so the winner of the $200 is Nancy Weir. Is Nancy here? All right. Would you mind? Thank you. All right. So now from our table vendors in the back, if you have a prize that you would like to give away, if you can come up to the front, we will start giving those away. So Alvita, you're going to be my prize puller-outer. Okay. Do you want to hold this and then I'll call the numbers? Okay, everybody get your little blue cards out. We're going to give away this lovely orchid from Accordius Health in Aberdeen. And so the number is 380362. Woo! See, remember you said you wanted a lucky winner. See, you got one. Okay. And now we have another beautiful orchid. And this number is 380323. All right. All right. Okay. And Laura's got help. Good. All right. So Jenna Ratliff from Pinehurst Healthcare and Rehab, she has 2 lovely gifts. So the first one will be 380357. Woohoo! All right. And the second one is 380359. All right, there you go. Congratulations. Next up, we have Crumpler Funeral Home with a beautiful petunia basket. 380320. All right, in the back, Al. We want to thank Al for taking all those pictures in part 1, and I don't know if you saw it, but we had the whole out and about spread in the pilot a couple weeks ago. All right, now Jennifer Garner, Garner Law Firm. She's got 2 beautiful baskets here. Looks like candy and flowers. Looks like a gift card in there. All right, 380378. All righty, got to be in it to win it. Okay, 380392. Woo! All right, Doug. Okay. And for the second lovely basket from Garner Law Firm, we have 380321. All right, Annette. Woohoo! Thank you. Both of you, the lucky couple today. All right, so
I just want to say, I swear we did not plan this. That everybody just got all flowers, but it must be that it's time to get out and have a little birthday.
yes, it's springtime.
Showers, I have.
Okay, so first up we have Black Pearl Home Care, and they've got two lovely plants. So we have 380394. All right. It's a lucky table back there. And the last plant is 380376. All right. One in the back and one in the front. Over here. And then for the winner of the umbrella from Fox Hollow Senior Living, we have 380373. All right, there you go. And I'm so sorry. We have one more beautiful hydrangea here from Bowles Funeral Home. Are you ready? 380364. All right. All right, well, thank you guys so much. I hope you got a lot out of this, and I really appreciate all the vendors for all of their help and support. And thank you guys. Hopefully we'll see you back for other future programs, and have a lovely day.